with this unfolding weather emergency this morning in Queensland. Let's bring you up to speed as we go to air. There are several emergency warnings in place, including the latest in Cardwell, all of Hinchinbrook Shire, multiple suburbs in the Ross River Black Zone and further south.
The weather event has turned deadly. A 63-year-old woman killed after an SES vessel carrying 6 people capsized in floodwaters in Ingham. Rain has impacted those towns in the state's north, turning roads to rivers, as more than 800 millimetres of rain fell north of Townsville in just over a day.
It's a lot of rain. For the latest, let's bring in today Queensland reporter Andrea Crothers, who's across it all for us. Andrea, the weather situation far from over.
Yeah, guys, we're expecting some even heavier falls to keep coming. It's been an anxious night, particularly in the town of Ingham. I can tell you they've had around 300 millimetres fall in the last 24 hours, 392 millimetres fall rather. 200 of that was in just a 4-hour period. Right now, there are around 30 to 40 calls to police for help. This is people, stories have been in multiple story homes. They can see water lapping just steps away right now as we speak. Those in single story homes who also can see the water coming in. Bear in mind, it's still dark there. This is a town with no power and no way out. And as we know, this is a tragedy. This is a turn of events which has turned tragic. That 63-year-old woman dying yesterday after that SES boat flipped. 5 people were recovered. Her body found a short time later. Many people in this area have taken matters into their own hands, performing dramatic tinny rescues like this one after a man clambered onto the roof of a ute, able to be plucked just in the nick of time after his ute hit a power pole.
Both sections of the fence washed out.
Jump out, mate! Jump out!
The window! Is there anyone else? Here! Come here! There's a car! There's a car! Help! Woo!
Now, the river at Ingham is currently 14.78 metres high, so that's just short of that 1967 record of 15.2 metres. We are told it is falling at the moment, but bear in mind there is still much more rain to come in that area. If we look now at the Townsville Black Zone, that's that Ross River Black Zone. Many suburbs there underwater as well as those outside of that area. 1,700 residents. They've also had an anxious night there. There's also been a number of evacuation centres opened up overnight. This was after the one at Heatley. It hit capacity just before 6 p.m. yesterday. So another one has opened at St Ignatius School. The Townsville Airport, it is expected to reopen this morning come 5:30. And disaster relief, that is also on the way. Payments of $180 for individuals or up to $900 for families of 5 guys.
Andrea, thank you.
A house has been engulfed in flames after being struck by lightning in Melbourne as wild weather takes hold of the state. Live to Today Melbourne reporter Christina Hearn at Taylor's Lakes. Chris, what happened there?
Well, Jane, it was in the early hours of this morning when Melbourne was experiencing severe thunderstorms and lightning has struck this home in Taylor's Lakes. Now, it's a bit dark at the moment, but you can see that firefighters are here. I've just spoken to the couple that live in this home, Simone and Napoleon. They said that they were woken by a very loud bang. The house then went up, the roof then went up in flames pretty quickly. Thankfully, they managed to get out with their young dog, Frankie. So that is the good news, that they managed to evacuate safely. Unfortunately, their house has been extensively damaged and firefighters will be here on scene for some time. There was severe weather right across the city, across the state. Geelong bore the brunt of it. There was hundreds of calls for help in Geelong for trees down, building damage as well. In fact, there were 200 calls to the SES in the space of just an hour. So there will be an extensive cleanup in Geelong this morning. This after a day of extreme heat. It was 39 degrees in Melbourne yesterday. It's going to be a top of 39 degrees again today and then 34 degrees tomorrow with the chance of more thunderstorms. This is not good news for firefighters, this extreme heat and chance of more thunderstorms as well, because they're still battling two main blazes in the state's west that have not yet been brought under control. So that'll be the focus for firefighters today in the state's west, but obviously big clean-up around the city today with the possibility of more thunderstorms. Jane.
Chris, thank you. And Adelaide has been smothered in smoke from those bushfires in Victoria ahead of heatwave conditions today. The smoke drifted into South Australia yesterday, prompting a warning from health authorities. The city is expected to reach 40 degrees today. Now to some breaking news out of Sydney. The sound of gunfire has rung out in the city's southwest. A business shot up and a burnt-out car found nearby. Live to 9 Sydney reporter Bianca Balzer in Georges Hall. Bianca, was anyone hurt?
Jane, thankfully not, but I'll just show you the damage that's been caused to this building. There are several bullet holes on the windows and front door of this shop front here in Georges Hall. You can see right now forensics are on the scene gathering evidence. Police were called here at about 1 o'clock when witnesses reported hearing about 8 to 10 gunshots. Bakestown area police arrived. They searched the building and they searched the surrounds to see whether anyone had been injured. Thankfully not, but ambulance were here in numbers on standby just in case. Now, 10 minutes later, 3 kilometres away in Bass Hill, then another call to emergency services with a car found on fire just next to a park. Emergency services arrived and found this BMW well alight and the smell of fuel strong in the air. Now, as you can see, this is very much an active investigation right now. Police are trying to determine where the culprits have gone and just why it is they have targeted this business. It's an insurance broker business. They're called the Community Broker Network. Now, online, they describe themselves as a business that protects small business. Well, I can tell you, Jane, this morning, some of the businesses that are opening up here today, well, they're feeling pretty unsafe.
OK, Bianca, thank you. The parents of 2 Melbourne teens who died from methanol poisoning overseas have been left with more questions than answers. Holly Bowles and Bianca Jones, both aged 19, were among 6 tourists killed by tainted alcohol in Laos last November. Their parents telling 60 Minutes that it's been hell and they're gutted by the silence from the Lao government.
We've heard nothing, so I can't be confident about anything.
The Lao government sent their condolences via the federal police. And that, to us, means nothing. Nothing at all.
We want some form of closure. We want to understand that people who have done wrong by our daughter and Ollie and the other people are going to be brought to justice.
Because we can't have another family go through what we've all gone through. It's just horrendous.
Sadly, the parents don't believe the full story will ever be revealed, but say they will continue pleading for answers. Sydney has been rocked by another act of anti-Semitism, this time targeting 5 young women in Bondi. Police say the women were walking just after 9 p.m. on Saturday night when 3 men in a Mazda threw eggs at them. The car was later found abandoned, egg cartons and an empty jerry can inside. Police are treating it as a hate crime. It's believed the women were singled out because of their clothing.